Athena's companion, the owl, also named Glaucs, was a commonly drawn motif in ancient Greece and a symbol of allegiance to the goddess. It is depicted in many vases, mosaics, statues, carvings, and coins, and one of the most famous representations is still visible in the Greek €1 coin. Romans and Greeks were very skilled at mosaic art, and since I'm still exploring that theme in my creative world, a question popped in my head: what if I could do a mosaic of this with the available materials in the game? And as you've maybe seen in the previous videos, I'm a big fan of small beams. But this was a bit different. No snapping at all, total free placement, and only using the square tips of the beams as dots for drawing on a surface. As for the shape of the owl, this is pretty much a replica of an ancient Roman owl mosaic in black and white. So first things first, I try to make a box to contain the short beam drawing, which means that the drawing is at least 1 meter high. In my case, I used grausten walls which are 2 meters high and then placed some stone slabs inside the box to serve as flat drawing board. The box ended up being rather small, so I did have to extend it during the drawing process. I then started placing vertical Ashwood beams, which would be the darker bits of the mosaic. Position and the rotation of the beams doesn't need to be perfect, of course. After all, the bits of the mosaic are also irregular. But they do need to be close enough that the gap between them is barely visible. If the gap is too big, it doesn't look too good because the white grout is too visible, and if you don't leave a gap, it doesn't look like a mosaic. I did do some testing before recording, and that was kind of my conclusion. Rotating the beams also helps to draw lines on horizontal surfaces like this better. I tried vertical mosaics as well, and it's a bit more mechanical looking because you don't have the same rotation tools in vanilla game. So after drawing the dark parts of the mosaic, I then started placing the grausten beams to cover the lighter parts of the mosaic. Beams are free place, and as you can see, I try to make it semi-regular while still avoiding a perfect square grid. The inside of the owl also has some clear grausten areas, but I rotated and placed them such as to leave some gaps in between the small beams as well. Granted, the grausten beams are more grey than white, but the contrast is enough to make the shape pop out correctly. After the black and white dots were placed, you notice that there's a gap in between them that is pretty dark and needs to be filled with a lighter grout. For that, I placed some extra stone slabs under the beams. I placed one slab first, with free placement a bit lower, so that the tips of the beams are still visible, and then the rest I snapped them to the first slab all over the drawing board. That made it better, but still too dark. This is where I decided to add wolf frogs on those stone slabs to lighten the grout between the mosaic tiles. After that, I decided to add an outer decorative pattern with more beams, and that also needed stone slabs as surface and grausten walls for containing it all. I used white black marble columns like this on each side, so that I could later use their snap points to snap ashwood beams on some edges and create a wavy pattern all around. So only 2 ashwood beams per column, except on the angles where I placed 4 beams. I then removed all the black marble, and since I noticed the beams were too spread apart, I added some extra beams in between to close the gap for the grout. You can see the wave coming alive, with beams much more tight together than the owl part. I filled the rest with grausten beams, much like the owl, and then proceeded to seal it with the grout technique. So I placed stone slabs also slightly lower than the beams, and then wolf frogs all around to seal it off. And that is the final result. It is absolutely gorgeous but useless, and uses a lot of instances, but it's well worth a centerpiece in a base. So what am I gonna do with this technique, you ask? Well, I'm gonna use it for a future bathhouse, probably on the floor of some pool if all goes well. Anywho, I hope you liked this video, and if you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and catch you in the next build.